Los Angeles, California, June 2009. No one inside the rehearsal studio realized they were witnessing history. Outside, hundreds of fans waited behind security barriers. Some had traveled across continents. Some had spent their life savings. Some simply wanted one last chance to see Michael Jackson perform live again. They believed they were waiting for a concert. They had no idea they were watching the final chapter of a legend. Inside the vast rehearsal hall at the Staples Center, the stage lights slowly came to life. One by one, rows of powerful spotlights illuminated the empty stage. Gigantic LED screens glowed softly. Musicians quietly tuned their instruments. Dancers stretched in silence. No one spoke louder than a whisper. Every person in the room understood the importance of the moment. This wasn't just another rehearsal. It was preparation for "This is it," the comeback the entire world had been waiting for. A side door slowly opened. Michael Jackson walked inside. He wore a simple black jacket, black trousers, soft rehearsal shoes. No glittering costume, no crystal-covered glove, no crown. Just a quiet man, carrying the weight of impossible expectations. Everyone immediately stood. Some smiled, others applauded softly. Michael smiled back. "Good morning, everybody." His voice was gentle, almost shy. He shook hands with musicians, asked dancers how they were feeling, thanked the lighting crew by name. He never walked past anyone without acknowledging them. One young stage technician later admitted he made everyone in the room feel important. The music director counted softly. 5, 6, 7, 8. The opening notes of "Wanna Be Startin' Somethin'" filled the arena. Michael closed his eyes. For one brief second, the years disappeared. The lawsuits, the headlines, the endless public scrutiny, the pressure. None of it existed anymore. There was only music. He stepped forward. The first movement was small, then another. Soon, every dancer followed him. Every musician watched him. The rehearsal hall transformed into a concert arena. Although the seats were empty, it felt as though thousands were already cheering. After the song ended, the room erupted into applause. Michael laughed quietly. "No, we can make it better." Not because he was dissatisfied, because he believed perfection was a journey, never a destination. He walked over to one of the guitarists. "I love what you're doing, but let's make this section feel," he searched for the right word, "more alive." The guitarist smiled. "You got it." Michael nodded gratefully. "Thank you." He never demanded. He inspired. Hours passed. Dance routines, lighting cues, costume discussions, camera angles. Every detail mattered. Every movement was repeated, again and again and again. Not because someone forced him, because Michael wanted every fan who bought a ticket to experience something unforgettable. During a short break, he quietly sat alone near the edge of the stage. A bottle of water rested beside him. His breathing was heavier than before. One crew member approached. "You okay, Michael?" He smiled warmly. "I'm all right. Just catching my breath." The crew member nodded. "If you need more time," Michael gently interrupted. "The audience has waited long enough." "We'll keep going." The crew member smiled. "That's why everyone loves working with you." Later that afternoon, the dancers rehearsed one of the show's biggest finales. Michael stood quietly at center stage, watching every movement, occasionally clapping, occasionally laughing. Then, one young dancer missed a step. He immediately apologized. "I'm sorry." Michael walked over, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "No. Never apologize for trying." The young man looked surprised. Michael smiled. "The only mistake is giving up." Several dancers later admitted they never forgot those words. As evening approached, the rehearsal hall gradually emptied. Musicians packed away their instruments. Lighting technicians switched off rows of spotlights. The giant LED screens faded into darkness. Only a few soft lights remained. Michael stayed behind, standing alone at the very center of the stage. He slowly looked across the empty seats, thousands of chairs, completely silent. In only a few weeks, every one of them would be filled. He imagined the applause, the music, the lights, the fans singing every word with him. A faint smile appeared on his face. Then, a quiet voice echoed from the darkness behind him. "Michael." He slowly turned around. A member of his team stood at the edge of the stage. "There are still a few things we need to discuss before tomorrow." Michael nodded gently. "I'm coming." He took one last look at the empty arena, then quietly walked into the shadows. None of the people still working that evening could have imagined how precious those ordinary moments would soon become. The rehearsal studio slowly became quiet. One by one, the lights were switched off. The musicians packed their instruments. The dancers hugged one another before leaving. Only a handful of crew members remained inside the enormous arena. Michael walked backstage. Still smiling politely at everyone he passed, he thanked the lighting engineers. He thanked the camera operators. He even thanked the security guards standing near the loading dock. One security officer later remembered, he never acted like the biggest star in the world. He treated everyone exactly the same. Outside, the California night had become unusually cool. Dozens of loyal fans still waited behind the security barriers. Some had been standing there since early morning. When Michael finally appeared, the crowd erupted. "Michael, we love you!" He stopped walking, turned toward them, smiled warmly. Instead of getting directly into his vehicle, he slowly walked over to the fence. Several children stretched out their hands. Michael shook every hand he could reach. He signed albums, concert posters, old vinyl records. One little girl nervously handed him a drawing she had made. It showed Michael standing beneath a sky full of stars. He looked at it carefully, then smiled. "This is beautiful." "Thank you." The little girl burst into tears. Years later, her mother would say that single moment became one of the happiest memories of her daughter's life. The following morning, rehearsals began once again. The schedule was demanding: lighting tests, dance rehearsals, sound adjustments, costume fittings. Every hour had been planned with precision. The production team wanted perfection. Michael wanted something different. He wanted people to feel hope. During a rehearsal for Heal the World, he quietly stopped the music. The musicians looked confused. Michael stepped toward the microphone. "I don't want them to hear the song. I want them to feel it." The room became completely silent. No one argued. No one questioned him. The orchestra began again. This time, every note sounded softer, more emotional. When the final chord faded away, several crew members quietly applauded. One violinist wiped away tears. As the days passed, the rehearsals grew longer. Michael rarely complained. If someone became tired, he encouraged them. If someone made a mistake, He smiled. "We'll get it right, together." No shouting, no anger, only patience. One afternoon, a young dancer twisted his ankle during rehearsal. He immediately apologized. "I'm sorry, Michael. I slowed everyone down." Michael walked over without hesitation. He knelt beside him. "Can you stand?" The dancer nodded. "I think so." Michael gently helped him to his feet, then looked toward the rehearsal director. "We'll take a short break." The director hesitated. "We're behind schedule." Michael quietly answered, "People come before schedules." The room fell silent. Nobody disagreed. As rehearsals continued, everyone noticed the same thing. When the music started, Michael transformed. His movements became effortless. His timing remained extraordinary. The energy that had inspired generations still appeared whenever he stepped onto the stage. But when the music stopped, he often stood quietly, catching his breath, taking a sip of water, listening carefully as the crew discussed the next scene. Those around him saw both sides of the moment, the remarkable performer during rehearsal, and the man working tirelessly behind it. One evening, the production team gathered around a giant monitor. They watched footage from that day's rehearsal. Michael stood behind them, watching silently. When the video ended, the director smiled. "It's incredible." The choreographer nodded. "The audience is going to love it." Michael looked thoughtfully at the screen, then quietly said, "We can still make it better." Several people laughed. One guitarist smiled. "You never stop, do you?" Michael smiled back. "I never stop learning." The next rehearsal focused on one of the show's most iconic moments. The stage lights faded. Fog rolled across the floor. The opening music began. Michael slowly walked into the spotlight. For a few unforgettable minutes, everyone inside the arena forgot they were watching a rehearsal. It felt like opening night. The dancers performed flawlessly. The musicians gave everything they had. When the song ended, the empty arena echoed with applause from the crew. Michael looked around. He smiled, then quietly bowed, not to thousands of fans, but to the people who had worked beside him every single day. As the evening came to an end, Michael slowly left the stage once again. He turned off one final spotlight himself. The massive rehearsal hall fell into darkness. No one inside that building could know that history was moving far faster than anyone realized. And before many more rehearsals could take place, the world would wake to news that no one was prepared to hear. The rehearsal hall stood empty. The spotlights were dark. The music had stopped. Only days earlier, the room had been filled with laughter, movement, and hope. Now, silence had taken its place. June 25th, 2009. It began as an ordinary summer morning in Los Angeles. People drove to work. Children attended summer classes. Radio stations played their usual music. No one imagined that before the day was over, the world would lose one of its most influential entertainers. Shortly after midday, rumors began spreading across the internet. At first, very few people believed them. Entertainment websites reported that Michael Jackson had been taken to a hospital. Many assumed it was another false celebrity rumor. Fans refused to panic. "He's rehearsing. He's fine. He'll be back." But the reports continued. Television news interrupted regular programming. Radio hosts stopped the music. Journalists rushed toward Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. Outside the hospital, small groups of fans quietly gathered. No one spoke very much. Everyone waited. Everyone hoped. As the afternoon passed, the crowd grew larger. Hundreds became thousands. Some prayed, some held photographs, others simply stood together in silence. Then, the heartbreaking confirmation arrived. Michael Jackson had died. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. People embraced complete strangers. Many cried openly. Others stood frozen in disbelief. Some simply whispered, "No, this can't be true." Within minutes, the news traveled across every continent. In London, fans gathered in public squares. In Tokyo, people placed flowers beside music stores. In Paris, candles appeared beneath photographs of Michael. In New York, Times Square screens switched to breaking news. Television stations around the world interrupted their regular broadcasts. Radio presenters struggled to speak through their emotions. For millions of people, it felt as though they had lost someone they had known their entire lives. Outside the hospital, the crowd continued growing. Some sang softly, others held hands. One young fan placed a single white rose against a nearby fence. Soon, hundreds of flowers surrounded it. Letters appeared, drawings from children, old concert tickets, handwritten messages. The sidewalk slowly transformed into a place of remembrance. Back inside the rehearsal world, the crew who had worked beside Michael only days earlier struggled to process what had happened. Musicians sat quietly. Dancers embraced one another. Several production members later spoke publicly about how difficult it was to return to the empty rehearsal space. Everything remained exactly where it had been left. Microphones, lighting equipment, costumes, music stands. The stage waited, but its star would never return. As the days passed, fans continued gathering around the world. Some played "Heal the World." Others sang "Man in the Mirror." Many shared stories about how Michael's music had helped them through difficult moments in their lives. Different countries, different languages, different generations. Yet, the songs brought everyone together, not because they were mourning only a performer, but because they were remembering how deeply his music had become part of their own lives. Michael's family faced unimaginable grief. Away from the cameras, they mourned the loss of a son, a brother, a father. For his children, the loss was deeply personal. The man the world called the King of Pop had simply been Dad. Days later, thousands gathered to honor his memory. Millions more watched from their homes around the world. People who had never met Michael found themselves crying together. Because some artists entertain us, others become part of our lives. Michael Jackson had done both. As the memorial came to a close, one message echoed through the hearts of millions. The applause had ended, the concerts were over, but the music would never truly stop. Because legends are remembered for their success, icons are remembered for their influence, but those who inspire generations live on every time their songs are heard. And long after the final curtain falls, their legacy continues to unite the world.